value attribution is and what that violin is and who this guy standing here with the violin and what a Macy's gift card has to do with value attribution. Well, class value attribution says that we value things or devalue things based on the context. So to understand how value attribution works, I want to take you all, class, on a little journey beneath the streets of Washington, D.C. on a cold January morning. And this was exactly at 7:51 a.m. during rush hour. This ordinary looking guy here, anybody know who this is? Dressed in jeans, he nonchalantly took out his $3.5 million Stradivarius violin and he got ready to play. The man was Joshua Bell, the world's finest violinist alive, who regularly performs to sold-out crowds in the best concert hall. But on that January morning, class, unbeknownst to the commuters that day, Bell was actually taking part in an undercover field study conducted by the Washington Post. So he whips out his Stradivarius violin, and he owns several of them, so he's well paid because he's very talented. And he starts to play, right? He starts the Bach Sonata Second Partitus for the unaccompanied violin, one of the most challenging pieces ever composed for the instrument. And he plays for about 45 minutes. But you know what, class? On that January morning, nobody paid attention to him. Nobody's applauding. Nobody's watching him. No cameras flashing, no video. Here is the world's best musician, violinist musicians, playing in the subway station for free. Nobody cared, right? Of over the 1,000 people that walked by that time during that 45 minutes he was there, nobody stopped. Maybe they were just in too much of a hurry to get to work, right? This is during rush hour. But if everybody knew who he was, and if the cameras was there and the news was there, if they knew he was a child virtuoso, class, don't you think a few more people would have stopped to listen? But think about how he appeared to the subway riders, class. Does he look like a concert violinist here? They are expensive instruments. Yeah, they're rare. They're scarce. There's that economic word for a Stradivarius violin. They're very scarce, so they're very expensive. Yeah, they do. We get tunnel, all of us do, right? Not just the commuters that day, class, but we are all susceptible to this because, class, our brain does this to us, for us, often without us even realizing it. They're saying, okay, yeah, he plays good, but nothing to see here, right? Move on, you got to get to work. He's not on a formal, in his formal attire, he's not wearing his tux, he's not on a stage. He just looks like your average run-of-the-mill street performer. Even though he didn't sound like it, he looks the part, class. So the commuters that day, they attributed the value they perceived, the baseball cap, the jeans, the subway venue, to the quality of this performance. As they passed by Bell, they didn't even look in his direction. Instead of hearing an outstanding concert, what did they hear? Street music. Okay. So, it's easy now to look at this from a different context, class, why the subway riders reacted the way they did. Value attribution, as I said, acts as a quick mental shortcut for us to determine what's worthy of our attention, right? And whenever we encounter a new object or person or situation, the value we assign to it just shapes our further perception of it. You guys agree with that? Expectations really change the reality that we live in, doesn't it? And the value that we attribute to something just fundamentally changes how we perceive it. And again, once we attribute a certain value to something, it's difficult to view it in any other light, right? When Bell dresses up and plays at a concert hall, he's regarded very highly. He's paid a lot of money to play that around the world. But when Joshua plays the same instrument and same music at a discount in the subway station, he's perceived differently. Okay, so I put a link there on the slide. You can actually go to YouTube and watch him play. They recorded his performance in the subway station. In class, if you're not familiar with Joshua Bell, you can watch him in YouTube, and he's phenomenal. He's just, he's a master musician. Now, are y'all class familiar with Macy's gift stores, uh, department stores? Everybody familiar with Macy's? Okay, I'm gonna sip here. Everybody, yeah, okay. I'll tell you all a story here if you all promise not to tell my wife. She's in the other room, so I don't want her to hear me. You guys promise not to tell her? Okay, thanks, Brittany. A couple years ago, Brittany in class, we were going Christmas shopping at a local mall. All right, this is in Seattle when we lived there. Thank you, Sharon. This is south of Seattle, about 30 miles from downtown. And this is an outlet mall. And we this is an evening, going into the mall, middle of December. This mall is an outlet mall, doesn't even have a Macy's store near it or in it. And this is about 5 o'clock, so it's dusky as it does get in Seattle that time of year, and rainy as it does that time of year. So we're walking in the mall, class. And on the way in the mall, in front of a trash can on the ground, I see this red gift card, right? So what do? I go over and I pick it up, right? Thanks, Brandon. And I put it in I wipe off the rain and the sand and the grit, and I put it in my pocket. And my wife has a fit. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "There's a gift card here I found." She goes, "It's trash." I said, "How do you know?" "Look, it's in front of a trash can," she says. I said, "I know." "Class, do you see the context?" She goes, "Thousands of people probably already walked by this card because they know it's trash. You're embarrassing me. Throw it away." And I refuse. Value attribution, class. I see that she's probably right, but I don't know that for sure, right? It looks like it's garbage. It may be garbage. She goes, "Look, it was intended for the trash can. It's garbage. Believe me. Get it out of your pocket." And because you've embarrassed me. So the whole evening, class, walking through the mall, she goes, "Over there's a trash can, throw it away. I've had enough of this." And I refuse. Yeah, Tiffany, that's what I did. I kept the card in spite of her ruining the evening by insisting that I throw that piece of garbage away because she was embarrassed for me picking it up because it looked like garbage. And she goes, "Why would you pick up garbage and embarrass me that way? Everybody else that ignored it knows it's garbage except for you. What's wrong with you?" Right, Tiffany? Anyway, we go home, Tiffany, and I called the number on the back of the card and I checked the balance. And guess what? There's $27 cash on this card. So I called the mall. I says, "Well, if anybody claims this, I will turn it in," which they never did. So, class, Tiffany, Brittany, guess who got to spend, Brandon, the $27? No, Tiffany, I'm a married guy. Nope. My wife, Ashley, with the agreement, though, you won't ever do that again, right? I made a deal with her. Don't ever do that again. You get the $27. Lesson learned, right? She goes, "Okay, yeah, I agree." Lesson learned. All right. Anyway, class, whenever we're called upon to make judgments, just remember that value attribution plays its role. It can often alter our reactions to people and things, right? You ever go to a movie that a critic said was great and you found it was garbage, and vice versa? Like, "Boy, that was a great movie. I wish I had seen it in the theater. The movie critic said it wasn't great," right? So be careful here, though, because value attribution can work both ways. It can cause us to embrace something we shouldn't. It can cause us to ignore something, right, that we should pay attention to.